Hi, I'm Joe Chili. Mornings from 7 to 9 at Buffalo's oldie station, The Big Weck. Joining us on The Big Weck's Buffalo on the Rise today is Buffalo author Charlie Flynn. Charlie, how are you today?
Good, Joe. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. You know, I love this book that you have, South Buffalo Hooligans. But now I have to ask you right off the bat, what is your definition of a hooligan?
Well, a hooligan is somebody who doesn't play by the rules. They go into a bar and eventually there's a fight or there's something, and it comes from an old Irish family in Dublin, I believe, called the Hooligans, who used to go into the town on the weekends, and inevitably there would be a fight. So then eventually the term became, oh, he's coming here to fight, he must be a hooligan.
So if somebody calls you a hooligan, should you be offended?
Well, it depends on the context, I guess. If they're saying it to be mean to you, that's one thing. If they're saying it to, you know, bring out your Irish, I guess that's okay.
So it's not like, you know, some kind of a comment that would be considered like a racist comment against Irish folk?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So were you a hooligan as a child?
Well, I was in a group of hooligans. I didn't do all this stuff myself. I had help.
Oh, that's nice to know. You know, it was fair game, you know, equal employment hooligans, you
Yes.
know, so to speak. Where did you get some of these stories? I mean, are they influenced by real events and real people?
Well, a lot of these stories were done by people that I grew up with. And I changed the names around and I changed the circumstances a little bit. Even some of the time frames are different. But most of the stuff did happen.
The names and the times have been changed to protect the innocent.
To protect the guilty.
The guilty? All right. So when you start talking about individuals here, do you ask their permission before they're in the book, or do you? Yeah, look at the look in your face.
No.
I didn't ask anybody anything, right? No?
No, there's nobody's name in the book.
All right. But are the names like a variation on a theme? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So if they knew you, you could kind of assume who the people might be?
Well, I think they can connect the dots.
Really?
I think so.
All right. Tell us about some of the stories.
Well, one of the biggest stories was we were all standing on the corner one day, and a couple of guys were drinking in the park, and then they wanted to go down to Kentucky Fried Chicken to get some food, and apparently there was nobody working, or there was nobody at the counter, no customers in there, so there was about a 3-foot by 4-foot picture of Colonel Sanders on the wall. So they took the picture and put it in the passenger seat of the car and drove up and down Abbott Road, tooting the horn and all this stuff. And then when they finally really did get hungry, they called and they said, listen, we've got the Colonel. We want 2 buckets of chicken in Heacock Park, 1 original recipe, and 1 extra crispy, or you'll never see the Colonel again. So.
And did they get it?
Well, actually, the police came into Stanky's bar because they had a feeling that they knew who did it. And they said, look, return the pitcher and no problem. So then the next day, the pitcher showed up with a bandage on the ear. And they said, why did they have a bandage on the ear? They said, well, he wouldn't come quietly. So.
Can you imagine the guys, here's the cops walking into the bar. All right, everybody put their hands out. They're looking for people with greasy fingers, right? That was the way that it would have worked out.
Sure.
How many stories are there in the book?
75.
75 stories.
75 stories.
And these 75 stories happened over what kind of a time frame?
From about 1964, when all these kids met in 2nd grade, until 1977, when they started breaking up and getting married and going in the military, going to college, all those different paths that life takes us on.
Were most of these kids back between 64 and that, were they Catholic school kids?
Yes, all were. This takes place in St. Thomas Aquinas Parish, which is now closed. The school is closed, the church is closed, but it was all the kids that grew up in the St. Thomas Aquinas Parish. In South Buffalo, you were identified by what parish you were in. So we had St. Martin's, Holy Family, St. John's, St. Teresa's, and we were the St. Tommy's boys.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, this is good. So if somebody picks up this book and read it, they may recognize some of these individuals, right?
They might.
Yeah?
They might.
How many characters in the book?
16.
16 characters. You're doing an audio book. And this is really interesting to me, not because I work in, audio, but because of the fact that you are doing all the voices
Yes.
in the audiobook. Yes. How many voices?
There'll be 75 altogether.
75 voices.
We're at 40 right now.
So is each voice just a different dialect? Is it a different nationality? Is it?
Well, first I did voices that everybody would kind of know. I
Yeah.
did some Jack Nicholson, and you know, just the usual suspects. And then when I kind of ran out of characters, I started to make characters up. So now I've got an Indian voice, I do an Indian dialect. I couldn't pinpoint an Indian who I could really imitate. So I just made one up, Rambali Vijay and Guerrero. Hello, how are you doing? Good. So,
And what other voices? Can you give us another sample?
yeah, I do Bobby Kennedy Jr.
Okay.
When I researched him to do the voice, and first I thought that he had swallowed Katharine Hepburn because of the way it comes out.
You're going to make me cough.
He kind of goes right to the point on things, and he says, we have to take out the high fructose corn syrup from the children's food supply.
Very good, very good. All right, now, where can people get the book?
It's available on Amazon, it's available on Archway Publishing, and they can pick it up at Dog Ears on Abbott Road in South Buffalo.
All right, you know, will you do another one after this?
Another book?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was thinking about it, but I kind of want to get through this and get all the way through it and see how successful or unsuccessful it is.
Yeah, and how many more voices you can create, right?
Well, I got 35 to go.
All right. Charlie Flynn. The book is South Buffalo Hooligans. And for more information and a copy of Charlie's book, you can go to Amazon and search for South Buffalo Hooligans, or visit Dog Ears on Abbott Road in South Buffalo. Sponsorship and promotional considerations for the preceding segment was provided by South Buffalo Hooligans. And you can join me weekday mornings 7 to 9 a.m. on The Big Wack.